Go ahead.
Yes. For now, we have something special called this. Now, we're going to talk about some world topics that are happening right now. And for the time being, I'm going to leave it at two things. I'm going to leave it at the Congo, and I'm going to leave it at Palestine and Hamas. Right? Now, we're not going to get delve into that. I'm not going to get banned by YouTube again. So, no. So, we're just going to talk about certain things. And we're going to show videos that are on both sides of the coin. You're going to know one of these people, Krishan. You're going to laugh. Now, let's start off with someone that is a ex-journalist that talks about stuff around here. Bianca Gralao, you probably have heard her name. She's very an activist over trying to make Puerto Rico more solar-powered, more eco-friendly, which I do like that. I want people to grow their own gardens in their backyards and have solar panels when the light goes out. Take care of yourself, honestly. I want that here in Puerto Rico.
Self-sufficient, yes.
Exactly. There's actually only one town out of 78 towns that's self-sufficient. That's Añasco. That the center of the plaza, every house is covered by solar panels. So if the light leaves, that solar energy goes throughout the whole town, all the way to the mountains, and that lasts you about a day. So they have at least an extra day of light just in case.
Gotcha.
And they did that. Not even the federal government. They didn't even ask people for help. They asked the own townspeople. Let's make our own money. And the mayor's like, because after the Hurricane Maria, they were by themselves for 6 months. So imagine a town that couldn't leave for 6 months.
Right.
So they had to take care of themselves. They only had one river.
So they privately funded it.
Yeah. They took care of themselves. They had a bunch of engineers. Here in Puerto Rico, we grow builders. You can make something, we can make it. You can electricity something, we can electricity. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I'm going to show you a clip by Bianca Gralao, and then you tell me your thoughts on that, and we'll discuss it afterwards. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Hit that like and enjoy.
Talk about how colonizing powers will oppress people, kill their friends and family, and then act surprised when the survivors of that violence fight back with violence. One of the reasons the US was so interested in having Puerto Rico as a colony is because they knew US sugar companies could make a lot of money. Not only was there a lot of fertile land, but there were a lot of Puerto Ricans that they could use as their cheap labor. And that's what they did. They were making Puerto Rican farmers work long hours, paying them starvation wages, and keeping them in poverty. A nationalist leader described it like this. He said, Los Yankees. He said, they're evil, they're selfish. If they found gold in our bones, they would grind us up in their sugar mills. Because of that oppression, Pedro Albizu Campos and other nationalists started organizing to fight for independence for Puerto Rico. The US, of course, didn't like that, and the Ponce Massacre shows to what extent and what lengths they were willing to go to silence calls for independence for Puerto Rico. It was supposed to be a peaceful march, but the governor, who at the time was directly appointed by the US, ordered police to stop the march by any means necessary. That included shooting them, so they did, and they killed almost 20 people, including a child. That massacre changed things for Rafael Cancel Miranda. His mom was at that march, and he says he remembers when she came home with her white dress covered in blood because she had to drag herself over the bodies of the victims. He says in that moment he recognized there was an enemy on Puerto Rican soil, so much so that when students were forced to get up and pledge allegiance to the US flag in school, he refused, and he was kicked out of the classroom. But his defiance wouldn't end there. As an adult, he refused to be drafted into the US military, so he was sentenced to 2 years in prison.
Ellos invaden a mi país, masacran a mi gente y todavía pretendían que yo fuera a servirles al ejército de ellos y matar coreanos.
A few years later, Cancel Miranda and 3 other Puerto Ricans would attack the Capitol. They went into the House chamber and they shot several rounds. They didn't kill anyone, but they did injure 5 Congress members. They were, of course, condemned as terrorists, and they were sentenced to 75 years in prison.
Ahora mismo, en los países árabes están matando miles de niños con los drones esos y los bombardeos. Por supuesto, ellos dicen democráticamente, nos asesinan democráticamente, pero tú no puedes levantarle la vista porque estás cometiendo un acto de terror.
There's an obvious hypocrisy in terms of what violence the U.S. is willing to condemn and what violence they're willing to condone. And these colonizing powers can either pretend that we get to peace if they continue to enact more violence, or they can end the oppression.
All right. What's your thoughts on that? Now, everything up until what they're talking about, Palestine and everything else, that is factually true. The Ponce massacre, there was 20 people. U.S. government covered it up at their FBI. There's actually 1,000 FBI documents on this. So you can look it up, ladies and gentlemen. It's out there. Same thing with the Hayuya massacre and blah, 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 blah. And I respect everyone out there, but massacres are massacres. History is history. Now, what's your thoughts on this?
First off, what year was this? I didn't hear.
1953. When Albizu Campos went to the congressman and tried to shoot them, that was around 56, 57.
Got you.
About 57, 62. Say around there.
Well, beyond I guess beyond the historical things, I'll just accept it as the truth. You know, I like to just research everything, I'm not calling anybody a liar here. So beyond that, I'll just go into more of her philosophy that she's trying to put forth.
Yes.
That well, first off, the whole thing about her her vocabulary that she's using, her verbiage of saying colonizers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? First off, colonizing is just a human thing. Every culture has colonized. It just is what it is. Every religion has colonized, right? For instance, you know, a lot of people bring this up in the whole Palestine versus Israel thing. They call Israel the colonizers, and it's like Islam is probably the biggest culprit of colonizing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Throughout human history, it's colonized the Middle East. Why do you think the Middle East is Islam dominated?
Yeah. Have we not forgot what Persia did in thousands of years ago? Have we not forgotten what Egypt has done 1,000 years? That you're right about that. I'm thankful that you brought that up because it's true. Like we have conquered and colonized for thousands upon thousands of the Vikings did that. The not the Koreans, Genghis Khan did that. Everyone did that.
Oh, Genghis Khan was a monster. He was the Wilt Chamberlain of colonizing.
He was, and it's sad because he went hard. And again, there's almost everybody in a sense is part of Genghis Khan as well. But I wanted to bring that up because what we're talking about, a lot of Puerto Ricans are trying to compare their struggle with what's going on with America and the struggle of Palestine. Now, what's your thoughts on that? Because again, we are in only this way similar, a country owned by somebody else. That's it. That's the similarity between Palestine and Puerto Rico. That's it. I want to put that out there right now.
Well, who's Palestine? Palestine's owned by who?
Apparently, Palestine's owned by Israel, or Palestine's owned by whatever. That's the only similarity I've been hearing in the marches. Like you guys.
This is where I this is where I disagree with, I guess, your verbiage of the question. Is I don't think there is a struggle that Palestine's going through. I think everything that they're doing, they're bringing it on themselves. They could have easily kept the Gaza Strip because Israel basically built it and then gave it to them. Gave them the power, gave them the water, gave them everything. And they still wanted to colonize because it's in their religion to do that. Literally, it's in their religion to have a lot of kids and move to other countries to spread Islam. That's what they're doing in America. Why do you think Palestine is marching with transgender homosexuals right now?
I mean, it makes sense. It would make sense to do that because you know that's the winning thing that's working right now. That's
partially
true
because Palestine is very well equipped in propaganda.
Oh yes,
but they're also pushing it because they want Americans to not have children. They want Americans to castrate themselves and sterilize themselves.
That is a little extreme on that part, and I'm not really with that. And what I do want to talk about
that's why China does it.
Yeah, China with the one kid rule. That is true.
Yeah.
And that's scary too, because now, and I was telling my girlfriend about this. This reminded me, what's happening now, and we're going to keep talking about this. What's happening now reminded me of what happened in Iraq back in 2001, 2000, 2002. So 2002, where we went over there, and we're gonna start a war over there because we think this and this is happening. And I'm not comparing it to Palestine. I'm not at all. I'm giving an example here, where now that this conflict's happening, there's already, as you know, a freaking Navy boat off the coast, just there, because that's what they always do. That's what the Navy always does. I've been there. The second 9/11 happened, boats were out. Boats were out, and they were gone. I was there. I was on those damn boats, out.
First, you were in at that time.
I was at ground zero, right after 9/11. Not in the sense of like being New York, but in the sense of being deported in Chicago.
You were in the mix. You were in the whole.
Yeah. I joined the military, finished boot camp, went to school, and 1 week into school, 9/11 happened and said, everyone's graduated. We're going to war. Let's go.
Wow.
That's it.
What?
And I was a fireman. I was supposed to do a 4-week class, and I did it in 1 week.
That's insane.
And they sent me to Afghanistan. They sent me to Pakistan. Then they sent me to freaking Iraq. I was there for those 3 years.
Wow.
So I bring this up. When do you think the war is going to start? And I'm not talking about Israel, Palestine. I mean the war. Because one big nation is, in my opinion, one big nation is going to use this as a piggyback to start something. As America is using this. Again, I know this being there. Once you send out one Navy ship with enough bombs to bomb half the town and half the state, you're there for a reason. You're not there to just like chill. You're there just to wait for the button to be pressed.
Right. You're stationed, basically.
Exactly.
So sorry, reiterate your question one more time.
When do you think, I think this is I hope this is an if, but I'm being nihilistic at this point in my life. When do you think other big nations are going to jump in and defend A or B?
I don't think you're being nihilistic. I think you're being realistic.
Okay, so make sure.
Yeah. I think they already are. They just haven't done it publicly. Okay. For instance, the big what's the word I could use? The big story right now is that Iran gave Hamas and backed Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
To go and do the attack on, what was it, October 7th?
Yeah, October 7th.
Yeah. And they came out and admitted that they did that. So, yep. And I believe Iran is backed by China. Now, that's why I also brought up earlier, China is pushing the transgenderism and all the stuff, the sterilization of our American population, and also just the fact that they're pushing for us not to have kids. I think that's a big part of the environmentalist stuff, is to make people feel uncomfortable about having children. I think there already are. I think the big question right now is, where is America going to eventually stand? Because America right now, under Joe Biden's rule and Democratic rule, is basically playing the fence. He's funding both sides. I think it's completely counterproductive, and I think it's just because he's scared to he's trying to keep everybody happy, because in reality what he's doing is trying to still make money off of his proxy war in the Ukraine.
That's something that no one talks about. There's still shit happening in the Ukraine. Still shit happening. And guess what? I was telling my girlfriend about this. I remember Yemen. I remember Syria. I remember all those things happening over the years, in the last 10 years, ladies and gentlemen. And what a surprise when one war happened, another war happened to distract you, and then another war, and another war, and another war, and another war. People in Ukraine are still dying, as people right now are dying in Palestine and Israel. And my girlfriend looked at me with such sadness when I said, I'm just waiting for the next month for another thing to pop up. And guess what happened? 2 mass shootings in back to back in a month in America. I mean, what the fuck? I just saw an article where a Florida guy, shout out to Florida, adopted a kid, but then left the kid in a box and would give her treats and little things for like about 6 months to a year until like someone found out about it and they got arrested. And
yeah, bro. No, go ahead, continue.
And the wife was in on it, and it was just disgusting. And that was in Florida. It happened 2 days ago. Like, there's a lot of monsters in our own home as over there as well, and we're not trying to. I'm not even getting to that shit. But anyway, all right. I want to bring a little funny, but a little realistic funny. Someone that all four of us, you, me, Skrill, Kill, and Wanda, shout out to Wonderland, all make fun of, because in one word, we laugh, and that word is donations.
Oh,
African, but you afraid to say that you worried about your people's problems. Ain't nobody helping us. You got 27 million Africans in the Congo, displaced, environmental issues, hunger, poor health care. You got 1 million Ethiopians who've been murdered. You got Sudanese who have died. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Sudanese. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Ethiopians. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Congolese. But you want me to cry tears for the Arabs? Listen, I hope the Arabs in the West Bank in Gaza, I hope they get all they get. I hope they are protected. I hope nobody dies. I hope those babies' lives are safe. I hope the women are cared for. I hope that there's no bloodshed, no violence. But if you think I'm going to take time out of struggling for African people, if you think I'm going to stop my agenda to liberate my people, to go cry for people who don't cry for me, if you think I'm going to stop what I'm doing and pay attention to what's going on over there when y'all don't even pay attention to what's going on in Africa. Y'all don't pay attention to what's going on in Ethiopia. Y'all don't pay attention to what's going on in the Congo. The greatest humanitarian crisis in the world is in the Congo, not the West Bank. I said the greatest humanitarian crisis in the world is in the Congo, not the West Bank, not the Gaza Strip, not Israel, but in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So don't tell me.
Don't tell me what.
Exactly. So, what are your thoughts? We were talking about the Congo. This is our last subject of the night. What are your? Do you really know what's happening in the public, like the blah 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 of Congo? I can't say it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know of the mining and all that
Yes.
stuff. Basically slave labor that's going on, even with the child labor on. I mean, as far as his like take on it, I think it's hey, you know, I don't want to remove any attention away from my struggle and my cash cow.
Yeah, donations.
So, donations, exactly. And it's like liberate my people. It's like from what? Slavery? That already happened. Racism at the workplace, that's already been taken care of with civil rights, affirmative action. Like,
now,
black people are given everything handed on a silver platter, and I say it's akin to trying to feed a child his vegetables.
Okay.
It's like, eat your vegetables, it's good for you. Take it.
Yeah.
No, I don't wanna.
Yeah.
All right. So his whole thing is based on liberation that he has no idea how to fix because he doesn't care to fix it. It's just like Al Sharpton.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about it, let him just rant, because again, he just spewed nothing for 1:30 because that's who he is. Lucky he didn't say donations. That would have been funny. But I have one more video. It's a little 34-second clip to be more specific of what's happening in the Congo for everyone that's watching.
What's wrong with your country? Well, we don't even start by saying the King of Belgium created a slave colony for 30 years. The government of Belgium ran the slave colony for another 40 years. The CIA assassinated your first popular leader, Mr. Lumumba, and then installed another dictatorship for the next 30 years. And then Glencore and others now suck out your cobalt without giving you tax income. We don't reflect on that. We say, what's wrong with you? Why don't you govern properly?
There you go. That was at a hearing, so I wanted to put that out there.
Again, most